Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tiana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted. Hello and welcome back to the Get Sculpted pod. This is one of my favorite topics we're covering today, and that is the 5 traits of our most successful clients. In other words, our students who have had the most impactful transformations. And there's one saying that I love that I want to kick this off with: success leaves clues. So we've all collectively worked with over 1,000 women. We've helped them achieve a place where they've not only transformed their body, but they've actually been able to sustain that in the long run. And throughout this process, they level up their mental self, their physical self, and they all around have that positive lifestyle shift. And in that process, we've seen that there are clues and there's a system to how they're able to replicate this and how we're able to replicate this. So the moral of the story is you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to be making up what you're doing and kind of like starting from scratch here. You want to look at other people who've achieved the thing that you want and then do what they're doing. Are you girls ready to kick it off?
Woohoo! Let's go. I'm so excited.
Okay, awesome. So number one, we want you to know that the women who are totally crushing it and, like they have the abs and the fit body and they seem to have all their stuff together, you might see them and put them on a pedestal and think, wow, they're amazing. But you can do the exact same thing. I want you to know that. One of my favorite sayings is you have 2 arms, 2 legs, a body, a brain. Like you can make this happen too, right? Even if you're missing one of those, like you could, you could still move the needle in the right direction. Nobody's a unicorn. And it's really all about the system and the right mindset and a few traits that we're going to share, which are all things you can develop. They're not things that you're born with. So, Mare, I would love if you could kick it off here with number 1 for us.
Yes. One of the most important traits we see in these clients you're talking about that are so successful is that they take radical ownership of their results. So when we say radical ownership, what we mean is that they accept full responsibility for where they are right now. They don't make excuses. They don't blame things like, oh, I'm in my 40s, my 50s, or my life is so busy. They don't have those excuses. They take ownership, even when it's inconvenient and even when it's hard. Now, taking that ownership doesn't mean, like you beat yourself up or you live with guilt or shame. We all have different lives. But what you want to do is you want to step into that driver's seat and say to yourself, if this is mine, then I have the power to change it. Because when you own your reality, then you claim that power to do something different. So we work with women who have all different situations, experiences. So think of 2 women, right? Like one saying to you, my metabolism's broken. I can't make progress because of, my age, my this or that. And then the other one saying, okay, at this stage of life, my body has changed. I have to do things differently. But, okay, what's in my control? Am I being consistent? Like that's the shift we're talking about, from blaming where you are to actually taking ownership of what you can do. And here's what I want everybody to understand. Like you said, the clients that we work with, it's not that they are unicorns. They don't have easier lives than you. They make these incredible transformations because they have a willingness to ask themselves the hard questions, like, where am I cutting corners? Or what am I not doing that's keeping me stuck? We like to look at it as like you're playing dominoes. So taking ownership is like tipping that first domino. Once you own your choices, the next domino falls. You realize, I can change my choices. And that leads to the next domino, right? Your habits start to shift, your mindset starts to shift, and then that leads to where everything transforms. But if you are not knocking over that first domino, the chain reaction is never going to start and you're going to stay right where you are. So the one thing I will say before we move on to that second trait is taking ownership doesn't make things easier. Life is still hard. You're still going to face challenges and obstacles, but taking ownership shows you what's possible. Because if you own your choices, you can change them. And when you change them, you can change your results.
And guess what? It is challenging. And that's the whole point. All of these things are going to push you out of your comfort zone. It's not easy to be like, okay, it wasn't the fact that I turned 40 that's making me gain body fat. I've also not had the right eating habits. And I've done that for a long time. And you got to take an honest look at yourself, but that also puts you back in the driver's seat. And that's very empowering.
Yes.
That's where you want to be.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, Jord, I'd love you to kick off the second trait that we see in our most successful clients.
The second one is actually reaching out for help. Instead of throwing in the towel, isolating themselves, ghosting, your coach, your community, the ones who succeed, they don't disappear when it gets hard.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of goes really well hand in hand with the first one around taking ownership, because if you have that clarity around, okay, this is where I went wrong, or here's where I need help, and you're reaching out to say, hey, coach, hey, community, here's a vulnerable post. This is what I've been struggling with. You are going to get that support back to you like in spades, especially in our community. When somebody comes out and says, oh my gosh, I just had this light bulb moment. I've been doing it all wrong all along, and now I'm making this shift, and here's what happened. You will easily have 20 or 30 people being like, oh my God, that happened to me. Oh my gosh, I was there too. Or here's a tip that, will make that even better for you. Or here's another thing that you can do. And having that support in your corner, it does a lot for you. One, it gives you guidance. Two, it gives you practical steps without your own emotional reaction to it.
Right.
Three, it's going to make you feel less alone and also show you proof that's around you that can help you keep going when you might not have realized that you could.
Yeah.
And so being able to ask for help, it's actually one of the best things that you can do. And our best clients lean in on coaching. They lean in. They come to our momentum calls where it's just like office hours. They will pop into the Facebook group. They will be consistent with their check-ins. They will, reach out in the chat to be like, hey, I need help with this extra thing. Could we do our check-in earlier? And that is where you're going to get the difference maker for a lot of people, because you're accepting that guidance and that pivot that you need and that outside insight a lot sooner than if you had ghosted and tried to figure it out by yourself. Would you guys add anything?
Yeah, I would say that I know by nature, some people say, well, that's just not who I am. I'm a lone wolf. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, but I do think that is a limiting belief.
Yeah.
Because how's that working out for you? Like if you tend to get stuck and then pull away when things get hard, this is also where it comes back to getting uncomfortable, being honest with yourself. If you're like, oh, okay, this whole community thing's not for me, but I'm like, okay, you've never actually been successful with achieving this goal. Maybe a lot of people in your personal life are not aligned with this fitness thing you're trying to achieve. Why not lean into this group of women who are all signed up for this thing that are like,
yes,
I want to get better, I want to get fitter, I want to get sculpted, and then put yourself in a situation where you're going to feed off of that success.
Absolutely.
There's like data in psychology that supports, surrounding yourself and leaning into your supports when you're going through something, even when you're not, that keeps you in the soup of it all. And that actually catapults your results even more. And Jord, you said it too, like you realize you're not the only one, because I feel like sometimes when we go through challenges and obstacles, we get into this like vacuum where we have this tunnel vision and it's
yes,
like, I'm the only one going through this. And no, you're not.
You tell yourself a story.
Exactly. You spin this narrative. So your community, your people can be such a great asset to you because it gets you out of your head. Then you can focus on, okay, what can I do to move through this instead of let me just sit in this misery right now and nobody understands.
Hamster on a wheel. That's what I always say. I'm like, okay, but you say I'm just kind of keeping in my own head. How's that worked out for you? If you've been in these limiting thought patterns. I love this one.
Yeah, it's a great way to pull you out of your own head and bring you into somebody else's or a community of else's that gives you a whole new perspective, borrow their belief, and it gives you confidence to keep moving forward. T, I'd love for you to take us through the next one.
Okay, so the next one is focusing on the outcome over the obstacles. And this doesn't mean that you acknowledge that life gets hard and I'm sure you're busy. I don't think there's anybody that would say, I just have tons of free time. I've never heard anybody say that.
I want to meet that person and find out what is what.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we are all busy. But what this really means is that like you're using your 2.0 self as your compass. You're so bought into that vision of yourself. And first of all, you need to create that vision. And, we've talked about this too, but what do you really want your life to look like? And achieving that and becoming that person is more important to you than the little things that get in the way and the perceived barriers right now. So meaning you're making decisions based on your future self and not just the instant gratification. You're looking for the reward that comes later, not now. So the women that we really see crushing it, they're really bought into this vision. They're not just seeing this as like, oh my God, meal prepping, I have to be in the kitchen for 3 hours. Like the 2.0 version of you is like, I am locked into my eating pattern. I've freed up mental energy. I look amazing and I feel amazing. And it's a drop in the bucket
Right.
in their mental energy to do the meal prep. But the stuck person is thinking, oh, this is a pain in the butt right now, today. And then they show up on the hard days like, hey, I really didn't feel like working out. I was really tired. My mind is somewhere else. If you want to get to the place where this is your identity, you're just someone with muscle like visible at rest. You're the muscle mommy, like you're fit. You're lifting a couch with no man's help. Like that version of yourself is certainly not thinking, okay, it's a little rainy day. Like my toe hurts. I'm going to go watch TV.
It's the difference between I get to and I have to.
Yes.
It's one word, right? Shifting. But it's the whole perspective that you have on it. If you look at everything like it's an obstacle you have to overcome, something you have to do, then you're never going to go at it with the attitude or the optimism or the excitement that you need to actually make it part of who you are and your identity. You're going to constantly be fighting it. Whereas when you focus on the outcome and it's something you get to do in order to have all of these other things that you want, that's when things start to really click into place. And sometimes people don't come to us having this element locked and loaded, but it's an openness to developing it and also having an awareness that they need to work on it. And this is something I find I work very deep on the coaching side.
Because here's the reality, like your 1.0 self right now, for better or worse, your 2.0 always levels up, by the way. So some people say, oh, I'm already at my 2.0. Okay, congratulations. That's your 1.0 now.
Right.
Like you used to think this was your 2.0. Now the bar is higher. And if the bar is not being raised higher, you're going backwards.
That's your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Nobody does anything of note in their comfort zone.
Exactly. So whatever your 1.0 is right now, your mind is naturally going toward like, we're going to think like this and act like this because this is comfortable. So you're going to have to go against the grain to make these decisions now until they become your new normal. Marilyn, I'd love if you would lead us into the next one.
Yes, I love this one because the teacher in me loves this trait, which is
of course you do.
being coachable and open to learning. Because I'm going to kind of put some tough love out there myself. If you already knew what to do and you were doing it, you wouldn't be where you are right now. You would be where you want to be.
I hate when people say that. When they're like, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. I'm like, do you?
Right, exactly. So when you step into being coachable, what that means is that you've got to be willing to receive change instead of being resistant to it. So Jordan, it actually fits beautifully with the point you made. You get to, not that you have to. And that's why I say this saying all the time, nothing changes if nothing changes. So like you cannot sit there miserable, complaining, but then not willing to do the work to get to that 2.0 version of you. So to make that transformation, you've got to be willing to try new strategies, have new perspectives, and it almost always will require you letting go of the things you've been clinging to. It's just not serving you. I get emotional with this because it's so hard watching a woman be so miserable and you know that like, okay, this is what you need to do to get you just over that hump. And they don't. They sit in what I call like the stuckness, right? So
yeah,
for me as a coach, I know for you girls too, this trait is so important because I'll give a teaching analogy. When I was in the classroom, of course, you loved having A students. Come on, they were easy. They were like, okay, teach, teach, and then go do your work. It was great. They were a delight. But the students who grew the most were not the ones who had the answers all the time. And that's the same for us with coaching. We do our best work with the women who are open and willing to learn and try, even if it means failing forward.
Yeah.
It's another term I love, failing forward. It's the same thing here. If you show up thinking that you know it all, you have now officially closed yourself off from the very things that will change things for you, and you'll stay stuck. So our most successful clients are asking questions, trusting the process. They lean in for that support like we talked about, and they're not resistant. They're open to all of this. And that's why their results happen.
Yeah. And they're not cherry picking stuff
Nope.
either. Can I just use an example if that's okay?
Of course.
I'm going to use myself because I am a coach, obviously, but I also have a coach. And when I've been a client, I'm very careful not to let my own, like me to coach myself because I always try and go into this thinking I got to be coachable. Like, for example, if I'm prepping with my coach, I love my coach. She's fantastic. Sometimes I think, oh, this is more volume than I would be doing. And instead of thinking like, well, I don't think it's a good idea, I think to myself, well, the whole reason I'm with her is there's a purpose to doing this more volume. Oh, it's a lot more cardio than I'm used to. Yes, I'm trying to get lean for a show. Like, I trust my coach, and what I might ask, hey, explain to me the why. I want to know. That's perfectly fine to understand the process. But it's the difference between those who are resistant. It's like, are you ready to be
Yes.
coached? Ask yourself that. If someone gives you a plan and they're like, okay, now we're going to track food. I don't know if that's a good idea. Okay, but what you were doing before wasn't working. So ask yourself if you're in that headspace.
All right, George, do you want to take us through the fifth trait?
I love this one. Making your own needs non-negotiable. As a perfectionist, A-type personality who is also a yes person for a very long time in my life, this was like a very big one, alongside with being able to ask for help and leaning into the community. Those two today really definitely resonated for me because they're very much in where I had to go through some personal growth in the early days. And what we mean by putting your own needs first doesn't mean that you're selfish. It means that you stop putting yourself last. It means that you don't figure out or maybe hope or you'll see if it gets in a day. You plan your day around taking care of you and the other stuff you got to do. So the main pieces that are part of your program to make you successful towards, building your 2.0 self, towards finishing your fat loss phase, towards sculpting the best physique that you have, they are often the same things that everybody else is trying to fit in. You need to have food prepared in some way, shape, or form that is going to be suitable to your goals. You need to have time to move your body in a very strategic manner, and you need some time for recovery and rest and sleep. The crazy part to me that is like a big hurdle for a lot of people is like you're doing all of those things anyway, and you're doing them the most inefficient way possible and inconsistent way possible. Like, crazy idea. What if you tried it a new way that was like smarter and not harder and more strategic and just like implemented it differently? You would actually be able to do those things better and first for yourself so that you can actually show up in the rest of your life completely present, ready to go, energized, nourished, stronger, all the things that you actually need. Because that's actually what you want. That's the outcome you're looking for. And by continuing to put yourself last, you're resisting the outcome that you actually want. Yeah. So I really want to encourage you listening to stop waiting for permission. And if you are waiting for permission, like, this is it, girl. Like, take the action. We give it to you. Permission slip sent. Like, this is the episode that gives you the permission because you get to decide what matters in your life. You are the leading lady. And if you keep acting like you're not, then you're not. Like, because that's the story that you're writing for yourself. So when you actually decide that you're worth being a better you, then you will actually show up to be the better mom, the better leader, the better partner. And that's where we see the ripple effect happen for all of our clients. So I'm going to pause there for a sec because I feel like my TED Talk has now come to a nice little conclusion. Would you girls like to add anything to that?
I think one important line I come back to is that working on yourself is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And also, might I add, I think people might kind of need that permission slip in their mind for like just carving out any self-care time. But I would elevate it. Like, don't be ashamed if you're like, I just want to work on myself for me. Like, if you're a mom,
absolutely,
I never regret spending time and money and effort on getting a fit body and quite honestly feeling confident in my skin, not even just healthy. Because when I feel good and I'm like, yeah, I'm working on my fitness and I'm locked in, I'm not resentful of my family. So it doesn't just need to be a matter of like, do I have permission to just take a teensy little like bit of time for myself? You need to put yourself on the front burner because that's going to make all the other burners work better.
It's true. And you're teaching other people how to treat you, your kids,
period,
your family, like your work people. Like, if you're like, no, this is my boundary, then they'll honor that.
Yeah,
they will. And they'll model it.
Exactly. And just to that point, like, I think a lot of women, like, we know your heart's in the right place, right? Like, when women sacrifice their time, their energy, their money for, let's say, their kids or their family, we understand deeply that it comes from that place of love. But one, like you said, what are you modeling to your children about how you love yourself? And also, they are not getting the best version of you. So you think you're doing all these things for them, but inadvertently, you're actually giving them the worst version of you possible. So it's really hard. Like, we're sensitive to where the meaning is, but that's not actually what's translating into real life. Your family's getting probably the most fatigued, grumpiest, most uncomfortable in your own skin version of you. And that doesn't go well for anybody.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people will be like, well, how do I make the time for this? Because guys, I'm so strapped for time. I was on a client call yesterday and we were brainstorming this. She's like, I just feel like I can't do morning workouts anymore. And I said to her flat out, I think that's a limiting belief.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk through it. What does your nighttime routine look like? And she's like, well, but I'm trying to work out in the morning. I was like, well, your morning starts at night. And we worked from her nighttime routine into her morning and when she woke up and all of that. And you know what the one change was? She's like, I'm going to now take my phone out of my bedroom. I'm going to charge it in another room and I'm going to get an old school alarm clock. That was her homework. And because we've now created like a bedtime for her phone. And this is personally what I do. My phone goes to bed. I plug it in. It's gone. It's in another room. And then I can go to bed at the time that I'm setting for myself instead of the doom scrolling and the stuff that she was getting stuck in. By doing that, she's going to bed on time. She's still getting her 7 hours of sleep that she wants. But instead of waking up at 7:30 tired and sluggish, she's waking up at 6:30 and she's getting her morning workout in 3 days a week. And 2 days a week, she's going to do her Peloton ride because she loves it. And so I'm like, here you are all of a sudden changing one tiny habit to fit yourself in where you were on one hand wasting time to try and relax, by scrolling. And instead you're repurposing it into something that's actually going to give you the best possible you.
That's so good. And that's a perfect example of taking that ownership, right? Yeah. Not getting stuck in the problem, but looking at the solution. Oh, I love that. That's such good advice.
Great example. And this is exactly what we want to leave you guys with too, is that all of these things are adaptable. And you might have recognized some that you're like, okay, I'm nailing this. This one I need to work on. And that's okay. Because the first step is recognizing like, I want to be the fit mom, the active person, like whatever your 2.0 looks like. And then, okay, these are the steps that we gave you to get there. So I'm going to recap those for you. Number 1 is taking ownership. Number 2 is asking for help and not throwing in the towel. Number 3 is focusing on the outcome over the obstacles. 4 is being coachable and open to a new way of doing things. And 5 is to make your own needs non-negotiable. So we would love, if you got value from this, take a screenshot, share it in your story, and tag us. Let us know which one of these resonated with you, like which one landed the most. Maybe you're like, man, I need to put my ego aside. I need to be more coachable. I need to take ownership and look in the mirror here and say, like, who's stopping me from the outcome that I want? We're not calling you out. We're calling you up. And we're doing this because we support you. We want you to be one of our success stories, whether you work with us or not. So girls, would you add anything to close us off here?
No, I think we hit it.
Period.
Done. Mic drop.
Done. Yeah, mic drop.
Our job is done.
Yeah, perfect. Well, this is one you're going to want to listen to. Make sure you share it with a friend if you did get value. And I'm really looking forward to the next one because that is going to be our 50th. Yes. Woo. So stay tuned. And we're going to be giving advice to our 20-year-old self. So we'll see you in the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.